All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm here with members of a band that was on the show before, but I was actually looking it up before we did this to find out when you were on before, and it was like 5 years ago. So it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it's kind of interesting that one of the reasons that we're talking today is because you're having like a 10-year anniversary as a band, and so when I talked to you last time, it was halfway through that. So obviously, there's been a lot of things that have happened since then, and all that. But before we get started, there's four of you here, so listeners can put a name to the voice if each one of you wants to introduce yourself and what you do in the band, and then that might help sort of figure out all the mess of voices coming out of us all once.
Sure. I'm Daniel. I play bass in Satanic Rights for some reason.
I'm Carl.
Oh,
internet.
This is one of the internet problems. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Pick a.
I'm Carl. I yell.
Go ahead, Tim.
I'm Tim. I play drums.
And I'm Ian. I play guitar.
Cool. And like I said, I mean, the part of the reason that I reached out to have you back on the show again was, first of all, it had been a while, and secondly, this 10-year thing. So you're sort of popping up all over the place at promoting the show that's happening to in recognition of 10 years of band practice. So I guess if someone wants to sort of explain what the deal is there, I mean, I'm assuming it is indeed your 10th anniversary as a band, right?
Yeah. This Valentine's Day, right?
Somewhere around that, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
It's,
and so,
sorry,
go ahead. This is one of the issues when you have so many people talking at once, right? But go ahead.
Oh no, it's just like to the best we could figure. We've never counted, never once. We never knew how long we were a band until one day I was like, "Oh, it's been 10 years," and then I don't know. We were looking for something fancy to do, and there's nothing fancier as opposed to releasing an album, which we're not doing. So yeah, we figured we'd throw a party.
Well, and how long had it been since your album that's out already? When did that come out? It's been a number of years as well, right?
It's been about 5
years.
years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily feel that long though, because the pandemic just kind of like, we raced 2.5 years. So like, it doesn't feel like 10 years as a band. It doesn't feel like 5 years since that album or anything like that necessarily.
Well,
we've been a band for 7 years now. We can say 7 years.
Yeah,
you can years.
Erase those. Yeah. Well, and I don't want to talk about the pandemic too much because I talk about it too much, and I'm sure all of you are sick of hearing about it and talking about it. But it is something that has to come up every time almost lately because everyone who's doing anything creative has had this like weird enforced stoppage. And I mean, like you're saying, you've been a band for 10 years, but almost a third of that is taken up by this situation where you couldn't necessarily first of all play shows and practice, or even for quite a while there get together. So how did that affect sort of you going forward as a band?
Before we answer that, I just have one quick question for you, Sam. If we say the wrong thing here, will the algorithm fuck up your podcast?
I don't think so. I mean, we could try it and see what happens.
We're talking about the pandemic, and I just got some opinions.
Yeah.
Are you going to get a warning on Spotify or some shit?
No, I think we're good. I don't think enough people listen to this for that to be.
Sorry, Daniel, you were saying something. Go on.
I feel I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe a better way to ask the question then is, like you were saying that that album doesn't seem like it was 5 years ago. Those songs, do they feel like old songs now? I mean, now that you've had this kind of enforced break between when you were actively able to play shows and then now you can do that again, does that feel like really, really old material? Or are you still sort of actively wanting to play those songs again? Or does it feel like a different era, I guess?
Some of them were pretty old songs when we recorded them in the first place. So, a lot of them do feel pretty old at this point.
I think we've rewritten most of the stuff we're working on now like 3 times because we just forgot everything.
Yeah, we're sort of hovering around 7 or 8 songs, which could be on a new album.
Okay.
And we subtract 1 or 2 that maybe are getting a little old at this point. So so the new album, we're working on it, 7 or 8 songs ready. waiting for the next 2 to 3 songs to lock into place.
Cool.
Yeah.
One last question about the pandemic, because I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm sick of it. But what I've found sort of doing this show, twice a week over this time period, is that people have had one of two reactions to it. And I'm not sure if this kind of goes for all of you, or maybe some of you are different. But people have either found it to be like a super creative period where they've taken the time they've had enforced to just write and record and all this, and other people have been completely just shut down, haven't done anything, haven't even thought about music, haven't written, haven't had a chance to write, haven't wanted to do anything. What was the experience like for this band? Like, were some of you really actively wanting to create during this time, or was it just like, fuck it, I'm out?
Me and Tim had a failed covers album project that didn't quite get off the ground. Tim sent me all the drum tracks for the agreed upon tunes. I finished one of them, and that's about it.
Yeah, I had all sorts of grand plans, and like nothing came of it. I just sat on my guitar, sat on my couch, and drank beer and played guitar.
Yeah,
I still want to
maybe
finish.
I got a little bit
Ramones
better at
together.
playing guitar, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
anything, done anything.
Well, we did what song? That was actually Ramones.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Oh,
Motorhead.
nice.
Yeah. We did Serve the Servants is partially complete. Do You Dig Destruction by Turbo Negro, I've fully completed.
Cool.
Yeah, I think there was a Hive song, right? Patrolling Days.
Yeah.
Oh, no
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is that
I
just
don't-
like a pandemic project so that it'll never see the light of day, or are you actually hoping to
Oh
get
yeah,
it done?
it'll
was the
never see
highly-
the light of day. No.
There was a highly ambitious phase, I think, right at the beginning of it that
Yeah.
lasted about a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you realized
I
it was
learned to
not
play
ending.
Yeah, and then I learned to play guitar.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of gear that like I barely used.
I came up with a bunch of album titles that'll never be used. That's about it.
Just the album titles, like nothing further than that.
Yeah, that is, I would say, 80% of the creativity that both me and probably Daniel bring to the band is coming up with good song or album titles that will never be used.
But that's
You could
valuable.
start
I
an
mean,
agency that just sells them to other bands.
Yeah.
is this upcoming show, when was the last show you played before now? Have you actually been able to play since things kind of eased up a bit, or is this the first one in a while?
September was our first show back.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, my first show back, like in I haven't been in a large crowded environment since like the pandemic had started. So yeah, September was my debut.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it just a kind of muscle memory at that point, or was it weird? Like, was there like a weird, this kind of like, how do these songs go? How do I play them? Or was it just all kind of, once you're there and you're on stage and you're together as a unit, you just kind of can pull them out?
Oh man, it's like either or. Like sometimes it's like, you just go cruising on the feeling or whatever, and sometimes it's just like hard work just to remember what the next part is. It depends on how you feel. Sometimes at
So we
practice
did actually
I'll just-
practice like fairly hard for that show.
Right. So
Yeah,
that helps too. Yeah, of course. You're not just showing up like, here's all the gear. Let's go. Yeah. So
I tore my meniscus for that show.
for that
I
show,
had
like
to-
on purpose before the show.
I had to get cardio back because again, there was like 3 years of sitting. And so I bought a jump rope, and everyone that I know was like, that's the stupidest thing you'll ever do. You're gonna hurt yourself so badly. And I was like, fuck you, it's the best workout in the world. It's 4 minutes and you're dying, and then you're done for the day. And it was, and I got in way better shape, and I tore my meniscus.
You always see boxers doing that, so there's got to be something to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool injury.
Yeah,
Feels great.
it's a good reason to hurt yourself for sure. So I mean, 10 years, and I know minus the
Rock and roll, dude.
Yeah, it is rock and roll for sure. Yeah, skipping is the most rock and roll thing you could do, I think. So 10 years minus these 3, so 7 years if you want to call it that, and one album. Like that's not that typical. A lot of bands who have been around as long as you have been like super prolific. What is the reason that this band still works after all this time? Because it's not like you're churning out records, once every year or so.
We got the 7 songs. You know, we're just waiting on the next 3, man.
A lot of bands work harder than us, man. That's just how it goes. I don't know. I mean, go ahead.
We tend to play a show and then just like not even practice for 2 months after we play a show. So it's like we're restarting every single time. And
Which
yeah,
is fine in my
it keeps it
opinion.
fresh,
Yeah.
keeps it fun.
There's almost no reason not to play in this band because it's not like we have an extensive touring schedule or anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
We enjoy hanging out once a week and drinking 2 or 3 beers each and, you know, playing 5 or
Yeah.
6 songs.
Not to get hang on it, but like we kind of like each other too much. We'll go hang out, and then maybe we'll start playing some music, and then we'll like get into the rhythm of it and be like, oh, this is really good, let's work on this. Or should we stop practicing now so we can hang out for an hour?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
We have a Christmas party every year.
As a band, like between
That's
the
true.
members of that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Satanic Rights holiday staff party.
That's the secret to longevity as a band, is having a holiday Christmas
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
That's great. So
We
I
all
bet,
count the days every
I
year.
bet, yeah. Well, I think that's actually one of the, not the holiday party, but the wanting to just hang out is one of the reasons why something like this works, right? I mean, it's not just when you're not looking at it as like, oh shit, this is a business, we have to go on tour, we gotta go to the studio, we gotta do all this stuff, and you can just like, this is a fun thing you're doing because you enjoy doing it. That's gonna make it last longer, I think, than something that's taken like unnecessarily seriously.
I mean, like, here's to 10 more.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to
7,
ask. I mean, do you see
7.
this happening? Do you see this being another 10 years down the road, still potentially doing a 20th anniversary show?
I want to see what we look
One
like
of-
in 10 years.
Yeah.
I was going to say one of us will definitely be dead in 10 years. So,
Right.
like, carry on, fellas, carry on.
Well, the odds are pretty good. I mean, there's it could happen. Could happen. How has people haven't heard you in a while, and that's a lot of people because this is one of the first shows back since things opened up a bit, and people have been off for years, and your record came out 5 years ago. What has changed sonically since that record? Because I think that a lot of people, and myself included, I mean, when I think about what you sound like, I think about that album, and I certainly haven't heard you since then. So what do you think has sort of changed or evolved about the band's sound since that time when people might remember you best?
I think for me, I wasn't the original bass player in the band. I played guitar previous, and a lot of my bass parts were just sort of like me, like just I'll just transfer this old guitar part to the bass, and I'll be like the lead bass player. But I think I just sort of like realized I should just play just simple ass bass lines, and just be part of the rhythm section, and just really dig into my role in the band.
Did that change the overall sound? Like, do the rest of you think that kind of has affected the
I think
the
we
overall
sound
vibe?
better.
Yeah, no, I think it's just like as time would generally do, we've gotten tighter. I think we have a better idea of what we're maybe trying to do, or not necessarily what we're trying to do, but what we're trying not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is what though? What are you trying not to do? I mean, there might be a lot of things, but
We know it when we hear it.
Yeah, it's the Supreme Court definition of pornography. That's that's the line we don't step over.
right.
Can't define it, but we know it.
Do you have a better way of because I think I asked you this last time, the two of you who were on the show like years ago, do you have a better idea of what kind of music you play at this point? Because I feel like you're especially because, and I know we talked about this part, but the name does not necessarily describe what the sound of the band is. I think a lot of people coming in seeing that name on a poster are not expecting what you guys are. Do you have a more solid definition of what kind of music you play?
We were almost going to be called Overwhelming Sadness, which was Carl's. It was my favorite of Carl's suggestions. I think that might have summed us up a little more. So I think we sound like a band called Overwhelming Sadness, and not a band called Satanic Rights.
Okay. I can see
I'd
that.
say that with the like 5 years ago, having the name Satanic Rights was kind of a joke on oh, I bet that's a metal band, and then they hear that we're not a metal band. I'm all for inverting that now and turning everything that other people see as satanic into Satanic Rights sound. I think we're almost that big.
You're capturing the zeitgeist, right? Now that everything, there's all this Satanic Panic Volume 4 or whatever happening.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an ill-fitting name, but I think like I guess we're just this an ill-fitting group of four dudes together. We're like, we're ill-fit for whatever bill we're playing, and yeah, I think that sums up our sound.
But that's
Ill-fitting.
kind of a good thing to have, though, right? That kind of nebulousness where you don't really fit in with a particular genre, because you could play with, Winnipeg, as you all know, I'm sure, is so divided into little scenes, and there's so many little groupings of bands all over the place, but you can kind of float in and out of a lot of those just because of all of your backgrounds and other projects, and because you have this kind of the overwhelming sadness fits in with a lot of different genres of music.
Yeah.
Just nobody will have us back. We have to keep on moving around.
Yeah.
Is there still I mean, obviously, like you said, you like the kind of hanging out part of it, the Christmas parties, getting together, all of that stuff. But are you still all really like passionate about making music with this group too? I mean, is that equally sort of part of the fun, is actually just writing these songs, or does that take a backseat to the just hanging out part?
It's always really exciting when sorry.
No, go, Carl.
I'll just be quick. It's really exciting when someone brings something to the table, and like if it gets picked up, because I mean, I don't want to get into songwriting process here because that's gonna be so boring. But like someone will play a riff, the other folks will start jamming on it. I take 4 to 5 weeks to come up with my own part. But for those 4 to 5 weeks, I'm having a great time trying things out. It is really exciting. It's even the other day. The other day, Ian discovered a bunch of stuff that we all forgot about that like is really good. So I mean, now we've got projects on our
It's
hands.
missing three songs, man.
It's there you go.
What's the at this point? I mean, I know you have the show coming up, the Valentine's Day era show. Who else is playing at that show?
We've got Big Trouble in Little China, who we pretty much had to have on that show. They are collectively our favorite band.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like it
really
just,
good band. Yeah.
Yeah, like if they couldn't play it, we would have rescheduled it until they could have played it. And Shitbots are playing, who we're super excited. Shitbots?
Yeah, who is that? Great name, but who is that?
Carl, you might be able to answer this better. I believe the lineup's changed a couple of times.
Yeah, all right. So I know that the band itself is Joe, my brother, and main songwriter is Brian of Primitive Hands. Daniel, you can maybe throw a few other bands in there that he is of note.
Squareheads.
Okay.
Squareheads, of course, yes. There we go. All right. But yeah, they are very, very worthwhile. And they obviously have a couple of people playing the show with them. But I believe those two are the main recording superstars there. Cool. And yeah, they just play a really good fast punk. They have a phenomenal music video on YouTube that should be checked out. It's really, really high quality stuff.
Awesome. Is there anyone else in the bill, or just the three of you?
3-band bill.
The three of us.
3 bands, pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
And then at this point, I know
we're going to play for 130 minutes.
Good. That's a nice, concise set. I like it. So, where can people find your music right now? We live in this horrible future dystopia where people don't listen to music the way they used to, and there's like no set way that people consume things anymore. What's the best way you would recommend for people to check out Satanic Rights? And the good thing too, this is a podcast, so someone could hear it this week or they could hear it a year from now. And so, what's
Yeah.
the best sort of option to find your stuff and find out where you're playing shows in the future?
I think our preferred method for people to find our music is on Bandcamp, but like it is available on virtually every streaming service, I believe. As far as finding out where we're playing, check out.
Get to know us.
Yeah, get to
Yeah.
know us. It's a
Be
lot of
friends
word
with
of mouth,
us on
but yeah, we'll
Instagram.
post about it on like Facebook and
Ian
Instagram
will
and
tell
stuff
you.
like that. Yeah,
Cool. We'll
do some postering.
Do you have any big plans sort of going forward after this? I mean, I know that this is a fairly big show because it's the 10th anniversary one and it's a big one. But do you have are you hoping to be playing a lot of shows kind of going forward into the rest of 2023, or is that just sort of come as they come?
Yeah, we've actually got a pretty busy schedule coming up.
Pretty,
We've
yeah.
we've got the Thrashers Goblin
Oh, right,
release
yeah.
show,
Yeah,
which is going to be a really fun show. There's one more that we're probably not supposed to talk about yet. That's after that, and yeah, that almost takes us to summertime. So we'll see what happens in the summer.
right on.